Hey everyone, Monarch here. Does it still feel crazy to you that Wilds will be releasing within a month's time? Trust me, it feels crazy for me too. Everything about this game is crazy, to be honest. From the monsters, to the combat, the areas, and so much more. One thing that isn't talked about a lot though, is the music for the game. And oh boy! That is some good shit. Of course, it isn't a lot, but things like the main theme, Raydao, and Arkveld sound absolutely amazing. Made even more impressive by the fact that the composers aren't just having to encapsulate a village, feel, area, or monster anymore, but the very weather itself, to showcase how dangerous and wondrous these zones can be. So, what better way I thought to state my excitement for the music in Wilds than by looking back and counting down my 10 favorite tracks in the 5th generation of Monster Hunter. Rules are simple, and just like how I did it way back in the Frontier theme video, it's all just personal opinion based on how much I like them. What a surprise! So, while I will be trying my best here to describe the instruments used here, what they are, the composition of the melody, and more, I will not be focusing down on it. Rather, I find it much easier to talk about the feel I get from a song, what it inspires me to feel and imagine, and how it encapsulates the subject. It is also way easier for me because, to be completely honest, music class was always the worst out of my 3 elementary school subjects, and I never participated in any more after that point. Unlike the Frontier theme video though, I will try to keep things simple and give about a paragraph per entry, and allow the music some space before that for people to listen to. Knowing me though, you can still expect some entries to be lengthened by the power of ramble energy. With all that out of the way, please stay in your seats, people, for it's about time to present to you all my top 10 favorite 5th generation Monster Hunter themes. Hey, I didn't say that the themes on this countdown had to be fight themes. I merely said that they had to be from the 5th gen, and that's it. A technicality, sure, but it is one that I'm happy to make because I just had to put the theme of Seliana onto this list for providing such a chill backdrop to all your daily activities. And for being a track and village based around the Ice expansion, I gotta say, I was not expecting a Celtic, Irish theme to accompany it. Yet, the incorporation of flutes, tambourines, maracas, and even hornpipes really creates a unique feel to the village of Seliana. It's the perfect music for a village located in distant lands, filled with merriment and wonder, and the Irish instruments help further that feeling by giving a very down-to-earth, natural soundscape to the music. There is minimal or no electronic or digital instrumentation to be found here at all. The usage of the Irish instruments here could even be argued to be calling back to a popular use of these instruments in Celtic music in the form of tap dancing, sometimes even with sheep bones. This all adds to the jovial, upbeat nature of Seliana, making you want to head out into the frosty wilderness to see what kinds of monsters are out there to hunt, what mysteries are out there to find, and what kind of creatures you'll catch. That, or you sit around the kitchen as Graham Meowster cooks up a fresh, hot serving of stew for you, which is perfectly valid. Moga will always be my home in Monster Hunter. But damn it, man, Celion and its vibes are a close second. Out of consideration for the list, I decided I would only choose one serpent theme, and while Ibushi provides a fantastic introduction to the serpents, and Narwa I do like quite a bit, the musical might of the serpents, much like their fighting capabilities, only truly shine when conjoined. As a merging of Ibushi and Narwa, I think the theme does a good job mixing elements from both, while also putting its own spin on it to differentiate itself. The usage of taiko drums and woodwinds call back to Raiza's Japanese influence, as well as the mythological inspirations of Raiden and Fujin for the serpents respectively, while still incorporating the loud trumpets and brass you'd expect out of a final boss monster. The element that makes the All-Mother truly stand out though is the vocalization and the drop at a minute 32, which I can only describe as nothing more than immaculate. The tone truly encapsulates just how tragic the whole fight is from the perspective of the serpents, fighting to survive not just for their sake, but their children too. And while we wish we could resolve this peacefully, we know the harm that will come from letting these monsters stick around. And so we clash, with Narwa absorbing the power of Father Wind and striking out in sorrowful fury. It's quite the fan favorite for a lot of people, and I can certainly see why. What a great way to make an introduction, eh? As if Basil Geese didn't already traumatize his hunters enough by crash landing out of nowhere, we also had to be greeted to the sound of a World War II air siren in the first 15 seconds of the theme. And I think it's that bit specifically that cemented Basil as such a demon in the collective Monster Hunter zeitgeist. Those starting 15 seconds tell everything you need to know about the monster, honing in on the bomber plane motif he has going on. Sometimes the theme doesn't even need to start by the time he's decided to dive bomb you, adding even more tension to Basil Geese in his theme when it does happen. Not to say that the rest of his song is bland, hell no. The track utilizes a lot of strong instrumentation that would sound right at home in a World War II documentary, with loud trumpets, snare drums, and cymbals to really illustrate the feel of an army marching to war, all culminated with a frequent high-pitched string in the left ear to remind you of the air raid, the destruction of war as the music crescendos into a bombastic beat. It's a theme too enraptured in the glory and pride of the war to care about who gets caught in the crossfire, and I think that's extremely fitting for a monster like Basil Geese. While we've had loads of outright epic and grandiose tracks in Monster Hunter, rarely have I ever felt as imposing and strange as Shara Ishvalda's Phase 2 track, A Single Bloom in Eternity, which I really like. Like the rest of the monster, the theme incorporates a lot of Hindu and Buddhist motifs, focusing on instruments similar to those that you'd find in an Indonesian gamelan, a kind of traditional musical ensemble found in certain populations across Indonesia. This includes metallophones, kendons, and shenais, along with the kind of that would fit right at home in a Buddhist monastery. The metallophones start off slowly in the phase transition, letting the chanting take center stage as the monster takes off its shell, utilizing what sounds like a wind chime at the very end to signify when the music really begins. From there, it's an incredibly loud and densely packed track, filled with even more chanting, rapid metallophone hitting, loud drums, and wind instruments to break up the theme into its calmer parts. With the Bwomp sounds especially, it really creates the image in your mind of a terrifying beast swimming through the earth, always aware of where exactly you are on the field, casually moving mountains out of the way. So basically, something right out of a horror movie, which Shara very much qualifies for. A Single Bloom in Eternity is one of the many reasons why Shara has quickly climbed the ranks as one of my favorite monsters of all time. And while I can't say I'll always be in the mood for a song this terrifying and loud, it'll stick out in my mind whenever it does happen. The track opens up on a set of strains slowly descending, giving way to the main iconic melody that is synonymous with the whole of not just the Rampage, but arguably Rise in general. The melody is incredibly simple, and with nothing else but taiko drums and hiyoshigi in the background, it allows for the main melody to ingrain itself into the listener's brain. And with every repetition of the main melody, more instruments and soundscapes begin to be added into the theme, upping the intensity of a track before they go away, letting the vocals lead the charge. The isolation gives suspense for what is next, making the drop into the truly iconic bit of the song feel even more powerful. The shamisen provides backup in the right ear, with Japanese woodwinds providing the interlude from the vocals alongside other strings. For the rest of the runtime, the song repeats these basic beats, and yet, even with just these simple parts, manages to stand out as one of the most iconic tracks in all of Rise. It's of such high quality that it honestly makes the countersignal track feel weak in comparison, truly embodying the Japanese and yokai aesthetics of the game wonderfully in an army chant, which can be interpreted as something to represent the might of the Rampage, or perhaps the tenacity of the hunter in Kimura Village. And yeah, don't lie to me, you all consciously or subconsciously said, "Let's fucking go" when hearing the drop, right? Because even if it is outside material, T-Com and Shark's animations involving what has been lovingly referred to as the Gurren Bombardiers have elevated the track into an art form, cementing it in the Monster Hunter Hall of Fame as one of the most memeable tracks yet. And that has to count for something, I feel. No other word better describes this theme than payoff. After enduring multiple phases of the beast running away, only giving you her slight attention as nothing more than mere nuisances, it feels absolutely incredible to see that Fury Mode notification and have the music move into the tremor bit of the medley. And that intensity, that sense of escalation really comes across wonderfully here, utilizing the soundscape that we have already been acquainted to throughout this whole hunt of strings, brass, piano keys, metallophones, and the organ to still communicate the splendor of the caverns, albeit a splendor that is quickly melting and falling on top of you by this point. The de-escalation of the piano at the start is completely new, adding to the imagery of the cavern falling on top of you, or signifying the tolerance the beast had for your insolence reaching rock bottom, no longer deciding to play it safe, and dedicating every last bit of energy she has to your annihilation. And though some people might worry that the addition of a choir on top of all of that may drown out the other instruments in the theme, making it all too repetitive, the percussion and strings are all still prominent, having been given extra power, and more importantly, meaning with this brand new addition. It's powerful, it's dangerous, and most importantly, it is absolutely beautiful. Just like Culve herself. There are two parts I feel that make Brutish Indigo Rages such an amazing theme. Firstly, the added instrumentation and choir adds a lot of contrast to the theme compared to the original or even the Iceborne rendition. The drums at the start immediately create a point of tension, letting the players know that things have become incredibly dangerous, as the choir warns you of Brachydios' wrath. The percussion, brass, and strings immediately move into full swing, creating a fast and frenetic beat as bells ring out in the background, sounding right at home in a wrestling match. The typical beats you know and love from Brachydios are exaggerated and expanded, sometimes sped up or slowed down in order to keep the player on their toes. The second and last thing that makes Brutish Indigo Rages so good is honestly the context surrounding it. In-game, the music further emphasizes the situation you are in, the do-or-die nature of this last stand, as you all are essentially locked into the Thunderdome, with no easy way out once it has started. How Raging Brachydios is overloading his slime production, charring himself black and even hurting himself with his detonations in order to kill you once and for all. Out of the game though, the theme still manages to expertly communicate the stakes at hand, and more importantly, why Raging Brachydios is an Elder level threat, one to not be taken lightly at all. And to think, Raging Brachydios was essentially the team using their leftover time and resources as they were knee-deep developing Elatrion and Fatalis. With an iron will and great fury, Brutish Indigo Rages manages to blow away the competition and earn a high place on this countdown. From the moment that strum of the harpsichord begins, you immediately know that A.T. Velkhana is a different kind of beast. Royalty among Velkhana. And the way it communicates that through the familiarity of the Velkhana theme, using bits and pieces of that theme, changing it up, adding in leitmotifs from Nay, The Honor is All Ours, and Succession of Light, is just wonderful. With its constant escalation and de-escalation, the theme manages to still encapture the dichotomy of the blizzard that makes Velkhana so intriguing. With piano, metallophones, brass, cymbals, and snare drums to help maintain the marching army vibe that made Velkhana feel so regal, while adding in ambient technological soundscapes into the music. One might think the addition of artificial sounds would contrast with the theming of Velkhana, but if anything, I think it adds even more to the dual nature of Velkhana. The sound easily makes me think of water freezing over, how life and even the molecules in a lake begin to slow down, halting to a crawl until there can be no more energy or movement. It's an idea that sends chills down your spine just imagining that applied to something more organic. Yet, even with the implications, there is still a serenity in it that we just can't help but stare at. Alternatively, some of the other sounds bring to mind the image of the Aurora Borealis, staring up into it in the middle of nowhere, at the stars of the sky, unnerved by the cold unknown, but determined to find out more, simultaneously finding more comfort in the fire, the warmth we have because of that mystery. It's a theme that most importantly perfectly represents nature, both in all of its magnificent splendor and terrifying power, using this idea to cap off our journey through the new world, to look back on how we have grown, and take comfort in finding an old friend one more time. And it never fails to give me chills, or make me reminisce every time. I think what I love about this song is personified in the very name, limitless courage. The song begins with an immediate ba-num-num-num from the brass, creating a clear separation between this and the previous theme as the choir picks up, elevating the song into a rapid, tense melody with the strings and trumpets, still incorporating the iconic Fatalis medley to communicate the power and dread from the beast, while utilizing counter melodies and leitmotifs in support of the hunter. Melodies from Stars at Our Back and Kokoto can be found in the theme, calling back to the origins of the franchise and Fatalis as the original superboss, representing how far we have come in our journey since arriving in that quaint little village. Each melody goes back and forth, taking over the song and its soundscape, sounding more dreadful when it is boasting about the power of Fatalis, and more triumphant and soft when it is encouraging us onwards. Then the music sounds like it goes silent, before the choir resurges in full force, the beast resurrecting itself, only to be swallowed up by more brass and trumpets, instruments commonly associated with the Guild and Research Commission. Claps in the background spur the hunter onwards, the camaraderie from every single fleet and hunter out there, fighting back against the choir and Fatalis' strength, culminating in the only piano section in the whole song, as one last burst emanates from the choir, expending all their energy before restarting to do it all over again. In a sense, this track is the ultimate interlude track of Monster Hunter, the perfect middle ground between the overwhelming dread and terror of Fatalis in The Legend Descends, and the triumphant power boost that any hunter gets upon hearing proof of a hero. You, the hunter, are filled with the energy, the support you need to push onwards and kill a living legend. The fight can go either way at this point, however, as even now, the beast still has yet to release its full power. Yet, you fight regardless, because that's what a hunter does. And now, before we get to the number 1 entry today, and for the first time in a countdown, let's talk about some honorable mentions that weren't able to make the cut. You have no idea how much it hurts to not include this into the top 10. I mean, this was my outro for so many of my gameplay videos, and it is what I have set in my Celiana home. Even though I love the focus on purely the harpsichord of the choir, I couldn't get it to beat out any of the entries on this list. So consider this my 11th place entry. Outside of competition, I wasn't sure if this could even be included considering it came from a spin-off game. Still deserves the honorable mention though, and I love how they integrated Scarlet Land lit up by the heavens into this final stand. If there was any monster theme that was going to benefit from the Japanese and yokai motifs of the soundtrack, it would certainly be Camellios. The use of woodwinds and vocals give off the feel of a forest spirit with a mischievous side, and the beat drop recontextualizes the fight as a dance almost. So accurately on brand to the vampire theming of the monster with the church organ and choir that it's almost redundant, but it is perfect for Malzeno and the Halloween vibes he brings. We'll say I don't think it fits Primordial as well, and I wish it could have gotten the Raging treatment. Just an utter banger for a location right here. Love how it manages to capture the decrepit, dreary feel of the Rotten Vale in such a roundabout and technological way with the instrumentation. And now, time for the number 1 slot. Ending themes in Monster Hunter, as a general rule of thumb, do a great job at highlighting the journey the player has gone through to get to this point. Generally speaking. Not since One With Life back in Tri though, has any ending theme managed to hit me quite as hard as the aptly named Sunbreak. Like many of the other ending tracks of Monster Hunter, the song starts slow and reminiscent, using a piano as well as wind chime in order to create a soundscape that is perfect for the medieval fantasy themes that Sunbreak takes after. As the singer takes to the front, brass and strings accompany her from the back, helping to accentuate the majesty of her voice, making the theme feel truly grand and sweeping in its orchestral arrangement. The song reaches 2 major peaks within the first 3 minutes, continuing the idea of the instruments accompanying her from the back in small but meaningful ways in order to boost the effect of her voice, while still focusing on being restrained in just how high it goes. And the restraint is very deliberate, for at 3 minutes and 58 seconds into the theme, the instruments completely fade out, allowing the singer to take center stage, encouraging the instruments to slowly creep back into the theme, rising higher and higher until finally, it reaches a crescendo. This is the peak of the theme that you had been waiting for this whole time. Both the orchestra and the singer reach their peaks, extending out the notes they are playing to. It almost feels like the orchestra and singer are taking turns, dropping out as one takes a breath, while the other continues the melody, before accompanying one another as the vocalist reaches one last high note, capping off the journey as everything goes quiet. Sunbreak ranks this high onto the list for the sheer power in its orchestra, the way it expertly manages to sound triumphant in celebrating the victory of Elgato, while simultaneously quiet and somber, reflecting the darkness and difficulty it took to get to this peak. The amount of times I got goosebumps from listening to it, or became reflective about my complicated feelings about Sunbreak, cannot be understated. And when a theme is able to make you feel this way, reflecting not just on your whole journey in this game, but on a franchise you love so very much, that is when you know it isn't just a great theme, but a fantastic theme. This is the power of music, making you feel, reminisce, and imagine just through the melodies it creates. And for all of that, it takes the top spot as my favorite theme in Monster Hunter's 5th generation. I have been the Monarch of Dragons, and I hope you all have enjoyed this countdown as much as I did making it. May you all have a fruitful time preparing for the Forbidden Lands in a month's time, readying yourself for all the new wonders and musical joys you will be partaking in. Until next time everyone, have a good day/night wherever you live. Peace, and coolest vaults. Hey there everyone, Monarch here, and thank you all so much for watching this video. It had been a hot minute since I last did a countdown with the top 10 fighting game supers, and I figured to do something simple for the return to form, since next time in terms of countdowns will most likely be the Blasphemous 2 bosses. Regardless, if you guys did enjoy that video, I would well and truly appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribed, shared the video around, or even commented down below what your favorite themes in the 5th generation are. I love to see what you guys think down in the comments below, and it's always nice getting to see someone's insight. Not to mention, the feedback, praise, and just reception of videos as a whole massively helps in supporting the channel. You guys mean a lot for me, and it has been incredible seeing the support for all my recent Monster videos, and I hope that this can continue in the future. Who knows, maybe I might include some special subscriber or follower programs in the future, you know, allowing you guys to directly support me in my efforts. Whatever the case is, though, liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting is more than enough. Or, hell, if you disagreed with my opinion or didn't like the video, feel free to dislike as well. It's your choice. Anyways, that's all for my ramble. I already did my outro speech. So, yeah. You all take care now. Have a good one, and see you all later.